Hello, everyone. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Friday live Q&A with me. Just give me a thumbs up if you can hear me, see me. Technology's working well. No problems on all of the beautiful platforms that I'm seeing you all on. Hello, Facebook, YouTube, and LinkedIn. And hello, Instagram. I have two different cameras. I'm going to look between the two of you, but I'm going to give you all a moment to jump in. Give me some sort of signal that I am live and looking well on your end. And then we'll jump right in. I got my little homemade lavender latte in my hot mama mug today. I make my own cashew milk and then make my own lattes. One of my favorite little tricks to that. And okay, little bit of my history is when my first job, one of my first jobs was a barista. So I used to make coffee in the Seattle area, and I learned how to steam correctly and make lattes and stuff when I was 15 years old. And before it became all automated. So I do enjoy that, but I've been loving the new Breville milk frother, which basically saves me a ton of time because I can just put my cashew milk in there, hit go, and then, get the kids off to school and then put a shot of espresso in there. So I've got a little homemade cashew lavender latte that I'm sipping in our time together today. Good morning, Tara. How are you? What's up? What's up? Hey, anyone over there on the other platforms? I see Instagram's going well. Sounds like we've got sound, video, whatnot. So I'm going to dive in. Over on Facebook, LinkedIn, or YouTube. We got anyone out there? Am I good? Am I coming through loud and clear? Hopefully I get someone that confirms over there. I've been having some internet issues lately. Maybe it's the upcoming heat here in Phoenix. Hey, I want to start with something. I was actually hey, Steve, thank you so much for confirming that we're live over there on Facebook. Thank you, hon. I want to start with something that was prompted by a conversation I had with a friend of mine the other day. I don't know if any of you follow Dr. Nat Gringudis. She's incredible. She's awesome. She's a hormone god. And not only that, but she is our goddess. But she is also just very sweet and down to earth and someone that I truly enjoy having conversations with. And we were chatting the other day about how we seem to have this idea that in order to be productive, we have to be frantic, right? That we have to have 1,000 things going on and we have to be on top of everything. And we have to be, doing all these things in order to be a good mom or in order to run a good business or in order to be a good employee or to help other people. We feel like we have to constantly be frantic. Anyone else feel that? And we were talking about maybe it's a learned behavior. I look back at my mom and I'm like, she was always frantic, always, right? And I would consider her a good mom, but I mean, she was always frantic. There was always something going on. There was always something she was stressing about, this or that. We ran from place to place. We did things and things. And I just wonder, when you look back in different eras, now her mom, my grandmother, was, this was in the late 40s, early 50s, whatever, was a homemaker. And my grandmother lived till she was 96 years old, I think, because she literally didn't let stress get to her ever. Like she just was like, whatever, whatever, you just go with the flow, whatever. And she did have a very, very long, productive life and was very active up until her death because of that. And I look at the generation from that to the next generation, now to, to my generation, to the generation below me. And it seems like every single generation, we seem to get more and more frantic, right? More and more anxiety, more and more busy. And we have this idea that we have to be connected all the time in order to be successful. And we were talking about how that impacts our health and our adrenal glands. And what if we didn't have to do that to be successful? What if we didn't have to do that to be productive? Right? I can say from personal experience that when I first had my kids, I was starting up a medical practice. I had just come out of medical school. It was hectic. And I found myself not enjoying a lot of time with my kids. And I think in some respects, that was definitely a negative because, I'm sure they felt that out of me. Where now that I'm very particular about how I use my time and partitioning up my time, I feel like I'm a much better mom. I'm far more present. I don't overreact to some of the little things. I'm still working on it. My kids would still say I overreact to things at times, but, and I just wonder, I feel like now, even in business and in life and in everything, the more time I actually take for myself and set boundaries, actually, the more I get done. So it is possible to actually not be frantic and still get things done. So I wanted to open up that conversation to see if any of you felt that as well. because Dr. Nat and I had a great conversation about, how are we impacting our future health if we feel like we always have to be on the go all the time? Has anyone else ever thought about that? Anyone else go through a personal transformation of this? Not a good topic. I see a couple questions. I'll jump in on those too. But I do like to open up with some things to think about, because I know for me, like when I became a parent, I was like, oh, I want to be a really good mom. Like I want to give my kids more than my parents were able to give me. Or, I really want to make sure that we have a relationship together. It's really important. Relationships are really important to me just as a whole. Like they're very, very important to me. They fill my soul. I like to keep in touch with people. I like to communicate with people. It's important to me and my well-being. I feel that everyone I've met in my entire life has a piece of my history, and was a time in my life that was important to me. I've even had my husband say, gosh, you still are in touch with half your old boyfriends. Why is that? And I'm like, well, because it was a time in my life. They were part of that life. They're not part of my life now, in that type of way, but they still molded me in some way. Right. So there was still something that happened during that time that grew me into who I am now, that helps me make decisions as I am now, that may have probably helped me find my spouse, who I've been married to for, gosh, I think we're going on 23 years. I run out after 20, I stopped counting, but I think a lot of those past relationships dictated who I picked as my final partner, right? So they're all valuable. And I think when you look at life and relationships, it kind of changes the way that you see life and changes that urgency for you, right? If you're going through life, getting everything done and crossing off your to-do list, but you're missing the communication and the connection that you have with each person as you do that, to me, you're losing a lot of value, right? And you're also losing connection with yourself, and you're also losing connection with your body. And we're also moving towards a more stressed and sick state. No? Anyone agree? You guys are jumping in on questions. I guess maybe it's not a good topic for today. That's okay. Let me know. If you want me to circle back to that, put some questions down about that, because I do think we push ourselves too hard, for sure. And it's having an impact. Diabetes, sleep issues, right? I mean, sleep issues is one of the number one things that I talk about, right? That people come to me, I can't sleep. I can't stay asleep. I'm up all night. I can't, I'm tossing and turning. I'm worrying about tomorrow. I've got this. I mean, I hear that all day long, right? And the question is, if their boundaries were set and you were able to give yourself self-care, would you have the sleep issues? And when you get better sleep, you're going to attack the day better, right? You're going to get your things done better, and you're going to feel better, and you're going to have better connection, right? So I just think we have this idea that we're supposed to be that way, that we have to give into the stress, that there's nothing we can do about it. Whatever, I'm a mom with 5 kids and I just got to deal with it. And that's just the way it is. And so much with sleep, right? That's not the case. There is actually things you can do. And so I just wanted to make sure you guys all know that. And I'm happy to share tips and tricks and all of that on how to do that. Okay. So I do see some questions coming in, so I'll jump in on those. If you guys want to revisit this topic, just pop some questions below about it. I'd love to see what you have to say, but I do see people already jumping in with other questions. So I will definitely jump in on that. I have a question here from Steve over on Facebook. Good morning. What are some stressors to the body that are most often overlooked? I feel like I'm missing something. Often overlooked. Well, are you talking external stressors? So we have external and we have internal. So the internal stressors are the ones that most people are overlooking and not considering. For example, if your thyroid's out of balance, let's say you have a microbiome in your gut that's out of balance. Let's say that you have a nutrient deficiency, right? Things that you can't see, you can't tangibly understand are usually what are overlooked, right? When we talk about stress, most people just say, oh, job, health, you talk about the external things that you can see and touch and feel, the tangible things. The most things overlooked are the internal things. For example, I have a genetic mutation, right? My genetic mutation causes stress on my body if I'm not handling it. Now, I could go to 1,000 different doctors and say, I feel like I'm missing something, and they feel like there's a stress on my body, and they could ask me about my job, and they could ask me about my husband, and they could ask me about my kids and money and security and all these things that we can imagine. But they won't be like, oh, hey, by the way, do you have some sort of genetic mutation deep in your biochemistry that might be stopping your detoxification pathways, which might actually be causing stress on your body that's being overlooked? Anyone ever had a doctor say that? Other than me, right? So I think the internal stressors are really important. What's the blood sugar? What are the thyroid levels? What are the nutrient levels? Are you getting enough exercise? Our body needs exercise. Newsflash, guys, we were built to move. We were not built to sit. And with this thing that I was just talking about with productivity, right? And talking about feeling like we always have to be doing something in order to be happy or in order to be successful, we're sitting a lot. We're giving up movement a lot. Unless you work a physical job, which also can be very stressful on the body in extreme situations, we're sitting a lot. So I think those are the things that are most overlooked. But I think also what's overlooked in the medical community in general is how much stress intertwines with every single system in our body. My son has a project. I'm way excited. I'm like way excited. It's the first time he's had a project I'm way excited about. He has a project to detail out the digestive system. And one of the questions was, how does the digestive system work with other parts of the body? And I said, how long can this be? And he's like, well, no, just a couple sentences. And I'm like, you literally can't answer that question in a couple sentences. The digestive system interacts with every single other system. It has a cascade. And if you want to go deep into it, into nutrition and nutritional absorption, I could talk about that all day, right? So now I have to figure out how to tell him in 12-year-old terms how to narrow that down. But there's a lot of things that are overlapping. And in traditional medicine, we tend to go to the endocrinologist, and then we go to the, orthopedist, and then we go to, the primary care doctor, and then we go to the rheumatologist, and then we go to the ENT, and nobody communicates with anybody. But usually there's one thing in the middle that's impacting all of these, right? So that's what's normally overlooked, Steve. Did you follow? Did you all follow me on that? Hearts, thumbs up. Yes, cool. Got it. Makes sense. Any follow-up questions on that? Let me know. Okay. Good morning, Jim. It's okay to be late. I see I will have a great show. Thank you. I'm excited to be here. For those of you that are new here, introduce yourself. Where are you from? I have a question about Spindrift. I actually drink Spindrift. The question is, thoughts on Spindrift? Is one a day okay in your opinion? I like Spindrift, and I like it because it is, one of the cleaner sparkling waters on the market. Is it absolutely the cleanest? No, of course not. Is it fairly good? Yeah. One of the things that we do in our house, and I do love Spindrift, but it gets expensive, and it's kind of like, I don't know that it's really a necessity in my life. You know what I mean? Like, do we really need to drink sparkling water every day to stay healthy? No, right? It's a luxury. And I'd use Spindrift in wine glasses. Like when people have drinks, I'm not a huge drinker. So I'll just pour Spindrift into a cool wine glass or something and drink that, right? But you can make your own. And I have the Penguin Soda Stream, which has a glass bottle. And you fill it with filtered water and you turn it on and you can sparkle, and then you can add whatever you want to it. So you could add like a drop of juice to it, or you could add some muddled raspberries or something. One, more cost effective. Two, you have complete control over the ingredients. But in a pinch, yeah, Spindrift is what I buy, if that helps. Absolutely on point. A bummer that none of the providers work together, but our systems all do. You're absolutely right, right? Hi, Gretchen from Pittsburgh. How are you? Yeah, it's really a shame. And I think, if we started to work together in medicine rather than divide in medicine, I mean, I'll be honest with you guys. I'm looking at, how do I help more people across state lines? How do I help more people outside of Arizona? And it's like, well, this state doesn't think naturopathic physicians are real. This state, the full licensure. This state is in pre-licensure. There's all these different rules on how I can help people in each state, right? And it's complicated. And it's like, what if we all just kind of came together as health practitioners in general? Naturopaths, allopaths, specialists, nurse practitioners, PAs, whatever, chiropractors, functional medicine. What if we all just came together and actually realized the value and the expertise in each and every one of us and work together, as opposed to shunning other sides? I come on here a lot and I say the allopathic model isn't great, right? I'm not knocking it. It's just there's a time and a place for it. So if I'm in a car accident, you be darn straight, I'm going to the ER. I'm not going to a naturopathic doctor, right? Not my area. But if we all kind of learned what every single doctor would do and we all played well together, imagine what the health in our society would be, right? Now, I don't know if that's the goal of our society. Sometimes I do wonder, are the pharmaceutical industry is just going to take everything over and we're never going to have any more choices. But if I think about like this world, this amazing world where we actually do communicate and we do take value in our health, How much could we actually do? And that goes back to that production thing in the beginning, right? How much could we actually do if health wasn't holding us back? How many of you are like, oh, I'd love to exercise every day, but I can't because of my hip, or, but I can't because of my job. Oh, but I can't because I can't eat healthy because I'm on the go all the time. I can't eat healthy because it's so expensive. I can't eat healthy because I don't cook, right? We give a lot of becauses, right? What if we didn't? What if we could be healthy, right? Because if we're healthy, we can do more, right? If we're not healthy, we can't do more. So we're just setting ourselves up for more limitations. But this is a mindset shift that we're not trained to do. We're trained to be told, take this medicine, you're fine. Go do what you got to do. And then 5 years later, we have side effects or we have more issues or whatever. And then the doctors aren't communicating with each other. We just add on another specialist to handle the side effect. It's just not done right, right? It has nothing to do with what they understand or how smart they are or their use of medications in certain situations. But why aren't we looking at this as a big picture? That's kind of my thing. I don't understand. No. Gretchen says, hi, Dr. Tricia. Sorry I haven't been on for a while, but I still love and watch all your live Q&As when I get a chance. Thanks, Gretchen. Nice to see you, hun. Welcome back. All right, let's see. Any tips for losing stress weight? Yes, you have to address the stress. There's no magic pill to override your natural cortisol response. It is an ingrained natural response. If you are running from a bear, you are going to hold on to your weight if you do this chronically. I'm sorry, I have this itch on my eye. It's driving me crazy. I know, I keep scratching and I'm like, what is that? If you are running from a bear chronically, every single day you're in the woods, seeing a bear and you're running, if you have a healthy body, now let me repeat this. If you have a healthy body, it is going to adapt to that stress. And it is going to adapt to that stress by putting on weight around the abdomen. That is a healthy body. We tend to sit there and say, oh, my stupid body, we keep putting on weight. I'm going to try to do this fad diet to trick it into losing weight. Your body is so smart. It's putting that weight there for a reason. It's to save your life. Thank you, body, for giving me belly fat. Now, has anyone ever said that? Maybe we should. Because then we're recognizing that our body is trying to protect us. And maybe if we took that as a sign that we need to do something about that bear, or understand that we need to change the way we react to that bear physiologically, emotionally, right? We can actually then get results. You can't get results by just taking a pill. Now you can lose the weight quickly, but that bear doesn't go away. So guess what? When you stop that pill or things change, it's going to come right back, and it's going to come back faster than it ever did before, because the bear has been there that entire time. And your body's like, oh my God, I don't have enough nutrients. Oh my God, I don't have enough nutrients. Oh my God, I don't have enough nutrients. And then you finally start eating again. It's like, oh, thank you. Give me the fat, right? So what if we started recognizing that when our body gives us a symptom, whatever that may be, that it's actually our body communicating with us, telling us that we need to address the bear. So how do we address that? It's a holistic thing, right? It's looking at what are the cortisol levels doing? How are those impacting other hormones? How is that impacting blood sugar? What type of nutrition does our body need? What are we deficient in? How can we minimize external and internal stressors, and also change the way that we respond to perceived stressors? I use the word perceived, right? So you could have the same situation in two different people, and one person it just doesn't bother, and the other person it does. That's a perceived stress, right? The stressor didn't actually cause the stress. You did. Your brain did. Your brain was like, or the other person was like, right? So and you can't fake your way through that. It's nice to think that you can, but you can't. It's a lot of work. You got to retrain your brain, physically retrain your brain. This is so doable. You can do it at home, right? If you guys want help with that, I have a 30-day at-home, like, reduce your anxiety program that gives you tips and tools and journal prompts and things you can do every day to try to retrain your brain away from that anxious moment. It's called the Total Anxiety Turnaround. You can DM me. You can write in a comment, I want, tell me more, and I'll connect you with my team to learn more about it, okay? I don't have it publicly on my website yet. But these are things that is so important. Let's see. Or run on a farm at 75. Yeah, anyway, running farms, right? Farm workers have you ever noticed, unless there's a toxicity, sometimes on farms you're surrounded by a lot of environmental toxins, and that can take impacts on your health. But if you've ever, known someone who's a hard laborer like that like eats well and eats off the land and whatnot. They live a very long time, right? Because they're active and they're eating well, right? Unless there was a massive toxic exposure, well water, things like that. Good morning, everyone. Good morning, Erin. Erin likes Olipop Classic Root Beer when you want something other than water. Yeah, I've tried Olipop a couple times, and the first sip I like, and then I think it's the sweetener they use. Is it stevia or something? It just doesn't. My mouth starts to go, yeah. I don't know. My kids were the same way because I bought that for them, and they like drank like a quarter of it, and they're like, So I don't know. I like it when I first take a sip, though. I don't seem to finish them, but it's a good option. It's a good natural option on that. Hi, Pat. How are you? Hi, Joy. Some familiar faces out there today. I love it. I love it. I love it. So we're talking a lot today, for those of you that just joined in, about stress and do we have to be frantic in order to be healthy or in order to get things done or to be a good mom or to be successful, and the answer is no. We actually do better when we're calm and connected and focusing on relationships. We stay healthier when we're communicating and sharing energy with people than we are, putting our head down and sitting at a computer all day. We need to get out there. So I had a question from Mike. Hi there. What do you know about TMG for high blood pressure? Well, okay. So TMG is basically a glycine, right? It's basically a parasympathetic. I'm going to tell you what this means in a second, but it's basically a parasympathetic, like, propensitator. So okay. So let's do this. Let's talk blood pressure for a second. Why would your blood pressure go up, right? Now people are automatically like, plaque in the vein, plaque in the arteries. Okay, but let's just talk about it in general. If I'm in the woods and I'm hiking and I see a bear, is my blood pressure going to go up? Heck freaking yeah, it's going to go up. Okay. So when we talk about it from a stress perspective, which is what I'm leading to with using glycine or TMG, we're talking about it from a stress perspective. You're in the woods, you see a bear, your blood sugar goes up. You turn the corner, there's another bear, your blood pressure stays up. You turn again, it stays up. You turn again, it stays up. Hence, now we have high blood pressure chronically, right? So this can happen from the direct stressor. This can also happen from the depletion of B vitamins that occurs when you're under stress. So now you have a high blood pressure that is due to a fight or flight response, right? A chronic fight or flight response, which is your sympathetic nervous system, okay? So the sympathetic nervous system is on fire, so it raises your blood pressure. In order to combat that, you have to access your parasympathetic nervous system, which is a gut or a rest and digest phase. Okay. So when we're fight or flight, we don't rest and digest a lot. We actually have to flip over here to this other nervous system. So some of the things that are released from that nervous system and help tap into that nervous system are things like glycine, TMG. So it's basically trying to combat that fight or flight. Okay. Great. But I'd like to argue that's great in the meantime, right? To help. Kind of like you could also take a beta blocker in the meantime, because that'll block the fight or flight and it'll lower your blood pressure, right? But it doesn't change the underlying cause. You have to address the fact that you're in a fight or flight all the time. You have to. If you don't, you will just continue to take either a beta blocker or a glycine or a magnesium or whatever else you want to take to try to access the parasympathetic nervous system. That's fine until the impact of the fight or flight starts to affect other things in the body, because it will, until it makes your testosterone tank, right? Until it causes gut issues, until it changes your nutrition, until it impacts your immune system, right? And then you're just layering more and more supplements or medications on top. I use supplements, I use medications quite often. I really believe in the lowest effective dose. I think we should be on the minimal amount of things we have to take in order to maintain, because our body has full ability to do it. It's just an issue of where are we in this and how are we going to accomplish it? And when you spend your time in parasympathetic nervous system, you have less health problems. And you can see this. You see this in the blue zones, right? You see this in places where they practice meditation as a religion. You see this in places where the life is slower, right? And they're growing their own food and they're eating their own food and they don't have this fight or flight response. They have longevity. Here, we don't. because we throw medications on stuff, but we don't actually address the problem. This is why I'm so passionate about it, because it's like I get people that come to me all the time and they're like, Dr. Pingle, I want to be your patient. I'm on 40 supplements every day. I'm on this for my blood pressure. I'm on this for my cholesterol. I'm on this for my B vitamin deficiency. I'm on this for my hair loss. I'm on this for my nails. I'm on this for my stress. I'm on this for my thyroid. I'm on this for my weight loss. And I'm like, well, wait a minute. Whoa. It's basically like, how many medications are you on? Like, this isn't, we're not looking, these are all related to the same thing. Like, why don't we pare this back and really see what you need? Why don't we go to the root from the beginning and start with the minimal? And, because I'll tell you what, when you're on 40 supplements, that's somewhat stressful to the body, guys, because you're throwing all this stuff in and your poor liver's like, what the heck? Just because it's a supplement doesn't mean that it's always helpful. You have to look at this in a case by case basis. You have to look at the fight or flight versus the rest and digest. You have to. If you're not rest and digesting, you're not absorbing either. So why are you taking all these supplements, right? There's so much to consider here. And I think we're in this world of, what do I take for this? How do I use this for this? When what we really need to be looking at is, why are we this way in the first place? Yes? Because we have this expectation that we're supposed to be that way. We're supposed to answer our texts right away. We're supposed to answer our emails right away. We're supposed to pick it up and check things. We're supposed to use it for a map function. We can't possibly rely on our own brain to know where we're going. We have to look it up on a map, and have the computer tell us. We ask our computers to play us music. We don't physically pick up a record and put it on a record player anymore. We just ask whoever, any of the bots, to do it for us, right? We do all these things for convenience, and we don't look at how that is impacting our health. And that drives me nuts, because it's not going to end well for my kids. For us, maybe. For them, no. We have a car situation right now where my husband has a car that has all the bells and whistles, right? It's got the little light that tells you if someone's in your blind spot. It's got the rear view camera, right? And he bought it for him. Well, now we also have an older vehicle that we were going to give our son as he turned 16. No rear camera, no bells and whistles, doesn't even have the Bluetooth for the phone, right? And we have to have this conversation about whether or not he can safely drive that, because he's grown up on everything telling him what to do. So his logic pathway on like, oh, I need to turn around and look to see if there's a car in my way, as opposed to having something tell it for him. And as much as we try to train him, is his brain set up for that or not? Like, is this a generational thing where we need to consider giving him the car that has all the bells and whistles to keep him safe, because that's how his brain has been ingrained from birth, right? It isn't going well for that generation. And we see it. Anxiety, depression, suicides, harming other kids, threats, blah, blah, blah. We see it. I didn't have that in my generation. Very rarely, it was like, that wasn't something we dealt with on a daily basis. Or if it was like one or two students, and, it wasn't like half the class, you know what I mean? So we're having an issue here, right? So when are we going to start to address it? I'm addressing it as a practitioner, as a personality out there, is coming here every single week, showing up, giving my time to talk about this, because we have to change it. It's not just me. It's all of you as well. It's recognizing how this is impacting our health, our kids' health, our parents' health, the health and the future of humans. And we have to do something about it. And I love that naturopathic medicine has come to the forefront, and functional medicine has come to the forefront, and supplements are considered, and people want to be healthier, but we still have to look at the body. Just supplementing won't always help. It won't solve the root. Sometimes it will, sometimes it won't. Sorry, that was a rant, but a good one. Right? Anyone else on board with that? I see Joy says, yes. All right, cool. Sometimes I do rant to you newbies out there, because I'm a passionate lady. I show up here for a reason. We've got to change this, man. We cannot keep going the way we're going. All we're doing is dividing each other and looking at little problems and reacting to everything. We need to stop reacting to everything. that reaction. In fact, Dr. Nat and I talked about this as well. As I was referencing in the beginning, we talked about how overreaction to anything, over emotion to anything is actually stress, right? So you snap, right? You're angry. You overreact to a situation, no matter what that may be. You cry when the commercial comes on, right? You're angry when you see a news story, right? And it impacts your day. You know, you snap at the kids because they left their socks on the floor, right? Those are overreactions. If you're overreacting to anything, even happy, you're over happy, you're faking your way through life, just smiling at everybody, pretending everything is perfectly fine. Anyone else do that? I've had friends like that over the years where everything's always great. Nothing's ever wrong. They're perfect. Nothing's ever wrong. Their life is grand. It's not, we know it's not. That's an overreaction as well. We all have crap we're dealing with on a day-to-day basis. That's what makes us human. That's what growth is. And if you're always fine, you're not growing. So why do we fake our way through that? Anytime we're overreacting to anything, that is stress, or we are putting undue stress on ourselves. And we can actually change that. Do you guys know any people like that? Or you have the people where everything's wrong all the time and there's no gratitude. You got both ends, right? Nothing's ever right, or everything's always fine. And then you got all of us in the middle, like the real people going, wait, I love this. And I'm mad at this, and my life is good, but I'm this and that. And that's what life is like. So we need to come together and realize that we're all going to have differences and we're all going to have different lives. But if we come together and we work together, we might actually complete something. Anyway, does lack of sleep cause all these things? I don't sleep very well. Yeah. So rest and digest backs to the same question. And this is piggybacking off your question about the TMG and the glycine for high blood pressure, is if you're not in rest and digest phase, you're not in parasympathetic phase, you're not going to sleep either. And if you don't sleep, you're not going to repair your cells. Your immune system's going to be crap. Your hormones are not going to be produced, right? When you're running from a bear, you're not going to stop and produce testosterone to have sex. You're not going to stop and produce estrogen and progesterones to get pregnant either, right? Why do we have so much infertility in younger generations right now? Is it the toxins in our environment? Maybe, but those are stressful. Is it the stress in our environment? Heck yeah, it's a huge role. Cortisol plays a huge role in fertility. I think more than anything else out there. Because even if you want to say, well, it's the toxins, it's this or that, the toxins cause stress on the body. The stress on the body causes changes in cortisol. You spend more time in fight or flight. Nobody's going to reproduce when you're running from a bear. Simple as that, right? There's a lot of steps to that, but that's the underlying thing, right? We have to be looking at this. All right, let's see. That's so true. I grew up in Africa and we do everything with logic and solve our own problems. But I see in America, they need help with little things. Yeah. Everything. Everything is automated. Everything. I actually just removed automations from my business because they were literally driving me insane. I was like, I didn't want to send that email out. Well, how did that go out? I didn't do that, right? Everyone's like, automate things. It saves so much time. No, trying to control the computer to send the automation takes time as well. And making sure that your bot isn't going crazy takes time as well. You know, autoresponders, they're great, but they don't necessarily give customized information. You still have to have a person go in and respond to that, right? So it's just interesting. Like even in business and in life, like the things I try to automate to make more convenient are actually starting to stress me out more than just doing it. Does cortisol wake you up at night? Exactly. That's exactly what happens. So you're in the woods, you're running from a bear, you get away from the bear. You're like, I'm gonna take a nap. So you crawl up behind a tree and you start to fall asleep. And what was that? What was that? Like everything will wake you up. It won't ever actually let you get into deep sleep because you're worried about the perceived future threat of a bear. Now, how does this relate to life? Anyone ever have a month where their bank account's too low and they're worrying about the money they're going to make tomorrow or how they're going to make it up? And you wake up in the middle of the night thinking about that. That's a perceived threat. Hasn't happened yet, right? It hasn't happened yet. You're still there. You've still paid your bills, but you're worried about doing it in the future, right? That's a perceived anticipated threat. The perceived anticipated hit of cortisol, right? How many of you in those moments get tired, don't want to do anything, so you go on your phone and you scroll and you look at funny, videos of French bulldogs like Piggy, right? Back here. How many of you do that? Why? Why do we do that? Why do we go to scroll when we're stressed out? Because it's a dopamine hit, and dopamine helps make us ignore the threat. So it was real easy to go to YouTube and social media and start scrolling, and people go, oh, I don't do anything important on there. I just look at funny videos. Now, granted, I create funny videos. I'm glad you look at them. That's awesome, right? Thank you. I hope they help you. But the bottom line is when you're scrolling, you're getting a dopamine hit, and you're doing this as a response to this anticipated threat to try to calm your brain down. And then you perceive it as a calming situation. But what people don't understand is when dopamine is constantly hit like that, it lowers your serotonin. When it lowers your serotonin, you become more depressed. When you become more depressed and anxious, it stimulates cortisol. And then cortisol changes your brain to make certain things set off unnecessarily. And then we go back into this cycle over and over and over and over again. And then we teach our children to do exactly the same thing by setting an example of this. No? I'd like to think I'm a good mom, but I'll tell you, I've taught my kids a lot of bad examples, and I see it as they become teenagers. I'm like, oh, I think I taught them that. Shit. Oh, he might have learned that from me. That was not good, right? And this is a huge point. We're perpetuating our own stress. And when everyone comes on and says, what do I do about releasing stress? How do I get rid of the stress weight? How do I lower my blood pressure from stress? My question would be, what is your routine? What do you do every day to focus on you, to focus on calming the body, to focus on not scrolling, to focus on harnessing and embracing relationships, not only with others, but with yourself? Do you fully love yourself in every single capacity? All of your flaws, all of the things that drive you crazy. Do you truly love yourself for who you are and who you have become and where you are right now? And if you don't, there's stress there, right? Because it means you're trying to reach for something that is actually found within your soul and in your brain. And the only way to change that is to start to have that self-love, that self-respect, setting boundaries, deciding what's okay with you, deciding what's not, letting go of the pressure to please everybody else, letting go of the pressure to be perfect, letting go of worrying about what others are going to think at this time, and really saying, who am I? I love myself. This is who I am. I am worth the investment in my own health, my own longevity, and right? I think I mentioned it last week, but I had where I was like putting in non-toxic dish soap to the sink the other day. And my kids are like, what's that? Where's the Dawn? Like, where's the blue stuff? And I'm like, well, I didn't buy it. I buy the non-toxic stuff. And they were like, you're so weird. Oh my God. And I'm like, hey, and I stood up for myself and I said, hey, I'm the one going to the grocery store. I'm the one looking out for your health. If you want to buy stuff that isn't good for you, that is your prerogative. But I'm going to hold my ground here because I am not weird. I am making a choice to choose something in a certain way. I find myself saying that to my kids all the time with my diet. They're like, wow, Mom, that's weird. You're having salad for dinner. And I'm like, yes, I am. And you are welcome to have it with me. But if not, you go do you, dude. Like, I'm worth the effort to keep myself well. And I think so often we give up our own worth to give it to somebody else. And I'm telling you right now, all of you right here, you do not have to give up your worth to give it to somebody else. You have to harness it. You have to grab it. You are in control of your own future and your own health. Bottom line, nobody else can do it. It's you. So you have to make a choice to love yourself 100% as you are, who you are right now, and then make small choices every single day to continue to improve and grow and become whatever it is that you want to become, right? If you're not there yet. And this is something that would change the health of our society in a moment if every single person harnessed this energy and did it. We would be so much healthier if we just let go of all the freaking pressure we put on ourselves every single day. And I'm not saying this I don't sit around and eat bonbons all day. I mean, I run 2 businesses. I'm a mom, like I see patients, people's lives are in my hands, right? You would think, oh my gosh, like you must be stressed out all the time, but I can set boundaries on that, right? We have to do something about that. We have to change it. right? And if I'm going to set an example for my clients and my patients, if I'm going to say to them, I want you to set a boundary. I don't want you checking social media on the weekend. Then what am I if I'm sitting there doing it myself, right? So when I have to say to someone, sorry, I'm with my kids today, I can't answer your question till tomorrow, they would understand that because I'm telling them to do exactly the same thing. So if we all were, looking at ourselves and walking the walk that we want to walk, we wouldn't have pushback from other people anymore, right? Okay. And Tara says, "Oh my God, we should dance out to my prerogative." Ugh, they totally block me with Bobby Brown. I have no doubt. They'd be like, "No, Pingle, we're gonna cut this off." And I think this was a good bunch of information. I only have a couple more minutes. I haven't seen more questions, which is why I've still been going on. But I would like to know what you guys think of that and any comments. Was that helpful to you? Do you find this type of thing helpful? Did it inspire you to say no to somebody today? Be like, I don't care if you want to eat that tonight. I'm eating this. And guess what, moms? You don't have to make it for them. I learned that. I used to make 4 different meals. And now here's what I do. I'll give you a little tip. Okay. I make variations of the same meal. So, like last night, I had a chickpea pasta. Okay. So it's a gluten-free chickpea pasta. And I was roasting a bunch of vegetables to go on it with some roasted, like mushrooms and broccoli. And I think I did mushrooms, broccoli, onion, spinach. But anyway, wild medley of vegetables. Okay. My husband eats meat. My kids eat meat. I don't. Okay. So my husband earlier this week made a huge, I don't know, it was a pork loin or something. So I said to him, hey, if you want meat on this dish, go ahead and cut it up and heat it up. It's already in the fridge. And my kids, and I did a cashew cream sauce. And my kids were like, oh, we don't want the vegetables. We don't want the cashew cream sauce. I'm like, cool. Well, you can have, the noodles and you can put whatever you want on it. Go to the fridge. There's probably a red sauce in here somewhere. I probably have a jar of red sauce. Heat it up, pour it over the top. You know what I mean? I make them make those modifications with me, but I have a base. So I do the same with taco. Taco night's a great one because you can make multiple tacos and everyone can just put on what they want. My kids will eat broccoli, but they won't eat mushrooms. So they took broccoli. So instead of mixing it all together, I roasted it in rows. So I had like a row of mushrooms, a row of onions, a row of broccoli, so they just pulled out the stuff that they wanted. And so it's like making a meal that's community, I guess, but not necessarily every single different meal. When my kids were young, I swear to God, guys, I made 4 separate meals. And I finally just said, I am not doing this anymore. I will make modifications and I will pay attention to what you like or don't like. And I'll try to do what I can, but I'm not going to exhaust myself going to make macaroni and cheese for the toddler while I'm making hamburgers for the kid, while I'm making, chicken for the husband, while I'm making, vegetable lasagna for myself. That's not happening anymore. We're going to have to come to a compromise. And that has been so much better. Still a little bit of an extension of myself, but look, if they don't want to eat it, I'll keep some organic frozen pizzas in the freezer and they can go make it themselves, right? Especially now that they're older, right? So I think, and when they're younger, you actually have control over it. Even if they don't want to eat it, they will eventually eat it, right? Because they're hungry. Kids are hungry. So I don't know. Just a little perspective from Dr. Pingle Land. As I head off, I have over here, very helpful. Oh, thank you. Extremely helpful. Awesome. Yes, it's affirming. Awesome. Thank you for today's Q&A. It definitely helped me. Have a blessed weekend. Thank you. You too. And yes, I love it. Best Friday Q&A. Thank you, Wendy. To all of you, Gretchen says, thank you. Mike says, thank you for going down the rabbit hole. I think we get the most when you do. All right, good. Well, I went down the rabbit hole. So hopefully we can, I'll pull some snippets out of this one maybe and share them because there was a lot of rabbit holes there, weren't there? So I'm very excited for my day today because it's Friday. And Fridays, if you guys don't know this already, is Trisha Day. Friday is Trisha Day for me. So every other Friday, I get a massage. So today is massage day. And then the in-between Fridays, I work in the morning, I catch up on whatever I need to, and then I do whatever I want to do. Whatever it needs to be that day. So, today I'm going to straighten up a few things around my office. I have a few things to tie up from yesterday. And then I'm going to maybe sit outside in the sun a little bit and then go get my massage. And I'm really looking forward to it. So that's one of my boundaries that I set is Friday afternoon is mine. I'm actually going to go have a friend do a pedicure as well on me. So, I think you do just have to set those boundaries. When is your time based on your schedule, and you don't let anyone interfere in it. And if I'm home and I can help people with things, great. But if I'm not, so be it. It's Trisha Day. So off I go. So thank you to all of you that show up every single week. I really, truly hope this was helpful to you. If you want your friends to join in, tag them, tell them about these lives. I'm here every Friday. I'll be here next Friday. And if you want any more information about what I do, how I do it, whatnot, you can head to drpingle.com. As much as I would love to dance it out of here, because you guys all know how much I love to dance, I do have restrictions with copyright issues, and I just haven't taken the time to really look at what songs I can use. So I haven't done it yet. So we're going to pretend dance out of here. Out of the window, we're just going to dance. I want you all to do some sort of dancing for me to something on your way out. And I want you to remember that you are worth investing in your own health. You are worth taking control of your health. You are worth being loved. So love yourself first. You are all beautiful people. And I am so grateful for every single one of you that showed up today and hung out with me this entire time. You guys are awesome. Have a great day.